Settlers of Calgar was announced on July 18th, 2024, which means as of today, it has been 322 days since we've had a PoE 1 patch. Oh my god, saying that out loud, it's just actually disgusting. But the good news is, for my Zana Sims, she's back, and Settlers of the Atlas looks like a step in the right direction. And personally, I'm just hoping what Jonathan said is true.
Now that things are back, I would say, like, you know, we're kind of back in our stride again. Things should go a lot smoother from now.
In sum, we're back.
That's not
We're so back.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we're back.
Yeah.
With every fiber in my being, please be true. But anyway, let's get on to the point of the video. Let's talk meta nerfs, buffs, and ultimately this patch's winners and losers. Starting off, let's go with a big fat loser. It's me. What I mean is, one of my favorite builds I have ever played was Splitting Steel, and it is 100% guaranteed bona fide DED dead. Long story short, without the ability for projectiles to shoot out in return, you will have good clear, but you're going to have absolutely zero single target. I don't know of a workaround. I can't even begin to think of a workaround. As far as I'm concerned, it is 100% DED dead. Put a tombstone down, she's gone. Another big loser is the entire 3.25 meta. Chances are, if we go to PoE Ninja and look at the most played builds in 3.25, in some way, shape, or form, it's probably been nerfed. For example, starting off, we have Lightning Strike, which was probably the meta skill of 3.25. Just existing by itself, it just half its damage, gone. On top of that, they even nerfed the return projectile support. Now, normally this would be enough to kill any normal human skill, but Lightning Strike was absurdly strong. So chances are it's still probably strong. I'm not sure how good it is as a league starter, but just expect it to be worse in every single way. Frostbolt of Ice Nova. It lost half its projectiles. Now what this means is that before you were overlapping your damage and scaling with Archmage. Now you're probably not overlapping at all. In general, this is just a massive damage loss. Combine this with the small Archmage nerf, and I'm thinking Frostbolt is probably dead. The good news is that Archmage is going to be fine. For example, an alternative that people were already playing was Ball Lightning of Orbiting. So if you're just an Archmage enjoyer, go ahead and check that skill out. I guarantee that one's going to be completely fine. Both Molten Strikes were nerfed, but who cares? You'll go from killing bosses in 5 seconds to 7. Really not a big deal. Now, what is a big deal are the Power Siphon nerfs. The reason is because this was one of, if not the best league starter in 3.25. Now, the good news is, from what I'm seeing, I'm pretty sure these nerfs are going to sting, they're going to hurt. I think it'll be completely fine as a league starter. It may not be the best one, but I 100% think if you were planning on playing it, you should be good to go. Finishing the skill nerfs, we have a Righteous Fire nerf in the form of Fire Trap. I'm not sure what RF players did to piss off GGG, but don't do that. I like RF. On a serious note, I'm thinking the Scorching Ray buff has something to do with the Fire Trap nerf. I really don't know. If I'm missing something here, let me know, because I'm not sure why they nerfed Fire Trap. Alright, let's change it up. We've been talking about a lot of nerfs, so let's go over some of the big winners. Chaos Enjoyers. Across the board, on every skill, you gained about 20 to 25% more damage. So just take any Chaos build from last league to now, it's just better. Death Aura Chest has more damage. All of these Chaos abilities on screen, even Spellslinger, which was one of the old, more popular Chaos builds with Soul Rend, got buffed. It's completely possible that even that build from like 4 years ago is viable again. So personally, because one of my builds that I was working on, Splitting Steel, is just dead, I actually plan on working on a Chaos.League starter later on. So if you want to see that, keep an eye out for that in the next few days. Every single golem either has a rework to their passive buff, or they just do more damage as a minion. This combined with the Elementalist buffs we'll talk about later. Long story short, I'm pretty sure Golemancer is back, but I'm not sure if it's a good league starter. I might do a test run later if I have the time. We'll see. Now, the biggest winner overall was probably self-casting spells. It was the first thing they let off with the announcement, so across the board, if you use any of these support gems on screen, they all either do more damage or they cost less mana in general. On top of that, we have a new focus support for channeling spells, and it's looking like overall, if you just play any self-casting spell, you gained 50% more damage, at least. On top of that, a good amount of spells were buffed, but for the sake of your time, I'm going to just mention that I think Divine Ire was already a viable self-cast ability, but with all these support buffs and Divine Ire getting a buff, I genuinely think this is a viable league starter. Now, I'm not going to be testing it. I'm more interested in other builds. Keep an eye out for people trying Divine Ire. I genuinely think it's going to be pretty good. Moving to the ascendancy side of things, let's start off with, I think, the biggest winner in the entire patch, Champion. They rebuffed his Fortify to always be at max. Now, this is how it used to be, so that's just a revert to the past, I guess. But then they also buffed the node behind it. It says it scales with Fortify stacks over 20. To give you an idea of what this can look like, if you take the 6 max Fortify stacks you can get on the tree and wear the Fortify gloves with a max roll, which rolls up to 10, you would gain 16 max Fortify stacks on top of 20. This would mean this node gives you 48% increased attack speed, 48% more armor, and evasion. Not to mention that if you didn't want to wear the gloves, there are other sources of max Fortify that you can get. They also made Worthy Foe a 2-point passive instead of 4, which opens up even more options for damage or whatever you want to do. Maybe you don't want to do Impale, maybe you don't want to stack Accuracy. Overall, I'm not sure what the best combo is. Just looking at this really hurts the fact that they just killed off Splitting Steel because, well, my favorite version of Splitting Steel was a champion, and that's dead. So this stings to see, but overall, Champion looks amazing again. Like I mentioned earlier, big winner, Elementalist. Now, I do have a problem with these changes. Elementalist did get buffed, but overall, most of the things they buffed, they also took away something else. So in general, she's better as a self-cast fire, cold, or lightning character. She's definitely better as a golemancer, but overall, it's like they took away 10% of the power to give them 20% of the power. So in general, all of these are buffs. She's much better than she was before, but I don't think it's nearly as good as what Champion was. Rounding out the Ascendancy changes, I do want to mention Berserker and Guardian. Overall, they either got buffs or reworks in general, but honestly, I'm really not sure how good these are. The two changes that stand out the most are obviously the Guardian turning back the clock and going back to 2015, and he's an Aura bot again, so cool. Now, the Berserker, he got a change to his Defiance node. Now, from what I'm understanding, this is basically going to mean that Berserker just has Defiance of Destiny that scales with his Defiance stacks. Like I said, I'm not sure how good this will be, but in theory, you know, Defiance of Destiny was one of the, if not the most overpowered item 2 years ago. So it could be really good, it might not be. Either way, it's at least an interesting change. Now, on to the two losers in the Ascendancy patch notes, Hierophant and Trickster. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and speak my mind here. Look, if you're somebody who sees nerf and is like, oh man, it's bad now, just no. Hierophant and Trickster specifically are completely fine. Last patch, they were so head and shoulders above every other Ascendancy, they're gonna be fine. Power Siphon Trickster players, you're gonna be good to go, and Archmage Hierophants, I guarantee either Ball Lightning of Orbiting or Vortex, you're gonna be completely fine, don't worry at all. To really put it in perspective how much further ahead Hyro and Trickster were of everyone else, Assassin, Elementalist, Berserker, Seba, like, you're Super Saiyan 3 Goku right now. These guys are trying to go Super Saiyan 1. Like, they're 6 years behind in episodes. They're the English translation, okay? Like, some of us, we gotta catch up, alright? Like, you can go down a power level, alright? Save some ladies for the rest of us. Now, last but not least, we have meta items. I wasn't too sure where to put Ralakesh. On one hand, they're nerfed, but in my opinion, in some ways, they're even better than they were before. Regardless, Ralakesh were one of the most popular items in the entire game. Specifically, they were very popular on builds like my HEXBLAST Occultist or just any charge stacking build in general. Now, for the record, if you're curious, yes, my... Okay, so we're gonna pause before Past Waff says what he was about to say. It is currently 3 AM, I'm finishing editing this video, and out of curiosity, I went for one last second check in the patch notes to see if they added any new skills. And sure enough, HEXBLAST is dead. I do have a couple Sanctum builds in mind already, however I don't think I'm going to have enough time to test all of them, so I'm probably going to play safe. I'll try out 2 Sanctum builds, and whichever one I like more, I'll make a video about. But anyway, HEXBLAST is dead. Okay, back to past me. Now, an item that is clearly a loser in this patch is Ephemeral Edge. Obviously, this item was extremely popular with Lightning Strike, also with Splitting Steel and Frisia. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Lightning Strike will still be fine, but adding up all these nerfs one after another, it kind of just means that the amount of money you have to put into the build to delete bosses is just getting more and more expensive. Now, personally, I did not play Lightning Strike as a League starter, so if you could do me a favor, let me know if you played it as a League starter. Do you think these nerfs were enough to make it go from, I'm not League starting this, it's definitely a second character build? Or is it like, it was so busted that it's probably going to be fine as a league starter. I genuinely have no idea because I didn't play it, so let me know if you played it. Alright, to round out the video, I want to do some honorable mentions. These are changes that I personally think matter, but I just didn't really have a spot to put them in. A winner, Betrayal. After listening to the entire dev interview, overall it sounds like Betrayal is going to still be one of the best currency strats, but now you don't have to deal with the tedious garbage of, deciding to kill Katarina or not. Betrayal sounds like it's going to be one of the better league mechanics from now on. A potentially meta-defining winner in this patch is Animate Guardian. Now, they changed it so Animate Guardian will no longer drop items on death. This is a huge buff to Animate Guardian, and I'm not talking about for minion builds. I mean, for every build in the game, the amount of uniques in the game that just give nearby allies buffs or will just give you some form of power, it's just an endless list. And that's only if we're talking about the Animate Guardian buffing you. For example, one of Empyrean Gaming's most popular projects was a giga Animate Guardian named Bob. Now, obviously he was wearing mirror gear and they were supporting him, but still, the point is Animate Guardian being able to just wear whatever gear you want to give him could be a potentially meta-defining change. I'm not sure, we'll see, but my bet is we're going to see a lot of people running Animate Guardian just for passive power. A loser that is near and dear to my heart is Sanctum. This is not in the patch notes, but near the end of the dev talk, Mark did confirm that they will be toning down Sanctum. As of right now, they did not mention how it's going to be. They have no idea how they're going to nerf it, but in some form or way, it is going to be slightly nerfed. Now, personally, I'm hoping they just tone down the early levels of Sanctum. I do think it is pretty crazy that at level 68, I can run a 68 Sanctum and walk out with at least 30 chaos of currency. On day 1 of League Start in the first 7 hours, yeah, that's pretty crazy. But regardless, we don't have any answers, so we'll just have to wait and see. And last but not least, the biggest winner of all is you and me. Because finally, we are getting back to a consistent PoE cycle every 4 months for both games. And even if you don't care about PoE 2 or PoE 1, getting more Path of Exile in my life is just a good thing.
Now that things are back, I would say, we're kind of back in our stride again. Things should go a lot smoother from now.
In sum, we're back.
That's not what I was
We're back.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we're back.